Welcome to Decision 2020, the U.S. House of Representatives Candidate Forum. This is an opportunity for voters to hear directly from the candidates. Today, we turn our attention to the U.S. House of Representatives race in Michigan's 6th Congressional District, where Republican incumbent U.S. Representative Fred Upton faces Democratic challenger John Hoadley, Libertarian Jeff DuPois, and Green Party candidate John Lawrence. Today's forum was recorded Friday, October 16th from the studios of the Meijer Public Broadcast Center at Grand Valley State University. Now let us begin by introducing Republican incumbent U.S. Representative Fred Upton. Fred, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Good to see you again, too.
Good seeing you. Well, let's start out with a question that I think you'll be able to answer here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what it means to you, the importance of serving in Congress.
Well, these are really tough times, let's face it, as we try to get through this COVID crisis to restore our way of life to where it once was. For the last number of months, I've been working here on my side porch, communicating with folks, whether it be teletown meetings, constituent affair. We had a Zoom call this morning with our leadership, members of the Republican leadership across the country, hearing from other candidates. But I also, probably one of the most important things that we've done this year, I'm a vice chair of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus. In fact, we had an event in Grand Rapids where two of us, a Republican and a Democrat, came. We talked about issues right on Main Street right there. But, you know, in times of divided government, and that's what it is, we have to work together. We have to put partisan differences aside. And to get something done, if you don't have bipartisan support, guess what? It's not going to get done. And so our Problem Solvers Caucus, we met early at the White House in the Situation Room when COVID first became known. We worked on packages, economic packages for our small businesses and large businesses too, stimulus checks, a whole number of different things. And we were able to get it done with broad bipartisan support, more than 400 votes. But it wasn't over by Easter. As much as we all wanted it over by Easter, it wasn't over by Easter, and here we are now in mid-October. We're not out of the woods, that's for sure. And it's our caucus that, particularly when the Senate failed to pass a fifth stimulus bill, we went to work. We unveiled a pretty comprehensive package a few weeks ago to inspire our leadership to get their acts together, to come back and see if we can't pass something that the president could sign that would provide additional relief, particularly to our small businesses, individuals with real needs, whether it be rent checks or utilities, a number of things, more money for testing, more money for a vaccine as well. So we're in the thick of things, 50 members of Congress, equally divided, Republicans and Democrats, to try and get things done. And that's really what the last 6, 7, 8 months have been to me, as we try to maneuver through this pandemic and get our feet back on the ground sometime at the end of the day.
The coronavirus pandemic is a public health crisis. The numbers keep going up. When we started doing these forums, I was using the number 210,000 Americans dead. We're up to 215,000 Americans dead so far this year. It's impacting the economy, education, and society at large. In Congress, what steps would you promote stemming the spread of the disease and supporting the economy? And you touched on some of that, and our schools.
Well, a couple things. First of all, I'm having Zoom calls literally every week with a good number of our school superintendents across Southwest Michigan, trying to get the pulse of where they are. We've got some schools that have been closed all this week, positive cases with not only students, but faculty. Talked a couple times this week with some of our universities, and saw a report today, my alma mater, University of Michigan, 46%, I think, of the students are quarantined or being in some type of isolation. We're not out of the woods. You know, as I look back at the last couple of years, and you and I have had a relationship that long for sure, when I chaired the Energy and Commerce Committee, we were able to pass through major health legislation called 21st Century Cures, a bill with bipartisan support. President Obama signed it into law 3 years in the making. And it speeds up the approvals by the FDA of drugs and devices. So important here in Southwest Michigan, with not only with Perrigo, but Pfizer and Stryker, Thermo Fisher, major companies. And because of what we did, the president signed in 2016, we are now on a much faster way to find not only an effective cure, ultimately a vaccine, but also not miss any of the safety steps. We're not going to cut any corners there to actually develop a vaccine that's going to work. So we're waiting for that, but we're also waiting for more testing as well, better testing. And I believe that we're on the cusp in the next, certainly in the next couple months, that we'll have a much better way to make sure that folks are protected to whatever they do, going to school, going to work, going to a sporting event, so that they know that whether they can actually expose someone or not to this pandemic. I knew the first person that died in Berrien County well. His picture has been on my desk for years. Vietnam vet, chaplain at a hospital. Took him about 2 days to succumb to this. His wife got it as well. It has impacted all of us. I've got family members that have tested positive for this. We know lots of people, and as that death rate continues to climb, we have to continue our efforts, not only for a vaccine, but for testing. In the meantime, we need to wear a mask. Chris Christie said earlier this week, of course, he was hospitalized in serious condition. He said, boy, did I make a mistake by not wearing a mask. Until we get to where we want to be, we all have to protect ourselves and others and make sure that, in fact, we've got a mask when we're not social distancing.
And the pandemic is impacting Americans' activities. What action should be taken ensuring that the presidential election is free, fair, and secure?
Well, we've, I hope, taken necessary steps to make sure that it is free and fair. I supported an effort back in August to make sure that our postal authorities had more resources. It was troubling that we saw a number of sorting machines that were being dismantled, particularly in Grand Rapids. It was well known for a while that our postal folks needed more resources. That's why I joined in a bipartisan effort last May to request more money. But we know now that the ballots are going to be counted as long as they're postmarked by at least November 2nd, that they'll have 10 to 14 days to make sure that those ballots arrive and they'll be counted. So it'll delay maybe the final count for some of these races. But for me, I believe that people ought to be able to vote absentee. I've always supported the system that we have here in Michigan. Of course, you fill out an application first. Your signature, your address are all verified before they mail you your ballot. That's what I did. My parents are 91 and 96 years old. They voted absentee. They're not actually able to drive to the polling place anymore and walk up the stairs and cast that vote. So already we know that at least in our district, more than 75,000 people are like me. They've actually cast and returned their absentee ballots. I believe that it is a safe way, and I would encourage everyone to take that process so that it'll take away from perhaps long lines on election day. Who knows what the weather's going to be, but for the right reasons, balloting here needs to be safe and secure.
Well, the Affordable Care Act has been long debated. What is the correct course, in your opinion, for providing Americans with health care? Do you believe people with pre-existing conditions should be protected?
I've always believed that pre-existing conditions need to be part of that package. You know, we've had the Affordable Care Act now for 10 years. Pluses and minuses. It got off to a real rocky start. And of course, at the very beginning, they said, you know, you can keep your health care plan if you want to keep it. And we found here in Michigan, hundreds of thousands of people actually lost their plan. But what do we need to do now? Well, we actually had a vote more than a year ago. There was a simple repeal of the Affordable Care Act without a replacement plan. I voted no. I voted no because I said I need to know what that replacement plan is. For, you know, as whether I chaired the Energy and Commerce Committee or bills that I voted for or co-sponsored in the last couple of years, I have supported making sure that folks with pre-existing illnesses are covered. I want to make sure that students up to age 26 can still be on their parents' policies. I spoke to the health underwriters earlier this week on a Zoom call. There's something that obviously very positive to be said about private health insurance. And the last thing I would do is support the Medicare for All Act, which would actually remove the private sector away from providing insurance to folks who have an existing policy. That's just wrong. So there's a number of things that we need to do to try and improve the system that we have today, whether it be allowing folks to shop across state lines, health savings accounts, all of those things, and emphasis on preventative health care need to be part of any mix. But the bottom line is it also needs to be bipartisan. You can't have a plan that's just shoved through with one side yes and the other side no, to try and get meaningful reform to a system that otherwise has still got, let's face it, a lot of kinks. We also need more research.
We have about 3.5 minutes. I thought I'd let you know where we are on time. President Donald Trump has made it a point of renegotiating trade deals. Some of the negotiating tactics include enacting tariffs. In your opinion, is the overall plan working? What job creation strategy or strategies would you like to see implemented?
Well, you know, when we passed NAFTA back in the 90s, there was also a caveat that said that it could be reopened. And, you know, Canada and Mexico are our largest trading partners. But we said it ought to be reopened if you can get a better deal. To his credit, President Trump renegotiated that. Particularly helpful was to our ag sector, particularly the dairy industry, which was getting, you know, pounded by the Canadians. It passed overwhelmingly in the Congress, House and Senate. I was actually surprised that Kamala Harris actually voted no. She was one of just literally a handful of senators voting no on that bill. But Nancy Pelosi, to her credit, brought the bill up. We had, I think, 350 some votes in the House. It's a better deal. And it's going to mean whether it be for our auto workers or for our farmers. So, you know, I'd like to think that we don't need to use this stick to try and beat our trading partners back to the table. In this case, the tariffs did work, and let's move forward and make sure that we have free but fair trade deals.
2 minutes. How will you address racial injustice and police brutality?
Well, we have. So as a member of the Problem Solvers Caucus, I spoke out against racial injustice. I've also spoken out against some of the president's words as it relates to some of his tweets and some, you know, go back to where he came from. I'll be careful. It's not exactly what he said, but we all know what he did say. I think I was one of 4 Republicans that have voted to condemn those words. But the bottom line is this. What happened, you know, Black Lives Matter. They do. They always have. We saw, you know, George Floyd was more than a wake-up call. And we have to make sure that we're not defunding our police, but in fact, they have more resources, better training, a national list so that when officers, when they become bad cops, every community knows about it and they can be disciplined. But in terms of more resources, things like body cams, you know, the Michigan State Police they don't have body cams. They need to have those, not only to protect themselves, but also to make sure that they're following the right procedures. So we need to speak out against racial injustice. It is systemic, I think, in a lot of different ways. For me, I've marched in a number of peaceful marches in our district, and I've spoken out against those injustices at literally every opportunity, whether it's using my tweet, whether it's my votes on the House floor, sitting down with our local leaders to make sure that we can address some of the things that community residents have raised.
From cyber interference in democratic elections to the proliferation of nuclear weapons, what defense and national security measures are necessary for dealing with emboldened world leaders and terrorists who are targeting the United States?
Well, the real fear of cyber attacks is just that, real, and it's happened. As I serve on the Energy and Commerce Committee, there's a subcommittee on telecommunications and oversight. We've had a number of classified hearings as to the potential and the real risk that other countries have used against our national interests. Whether it's trying to interfere with our electric grids, the security of maybe our nuclear plants, our water supplies, private companies, chemical operations, the Department of Energy, and others, obviously with our military as well. We have to take every step that we can to make sure that those facilities are hardened and that we can identify when those attacks come in. We made a lot of progress, but we're not there yet. It's going to need more resources. It's subject to, again, real classified information, but I have supported the efforts to make sure that our grids in particular are hardened and that the potential is less for an attack on America using cyber attacks.
How will you, or how are you dealing with special interest groups, lobbyists in Washington influencing policy?
Well, of course, right now our offices are closed. My door has always been open to everybody. I want to hear the arguments from all sides. That's why I look at my mail. It's in our email. I speak to a lot of different interests. I do press interviews. Don't know what the questions are in advance multiple times every week. Everyone has an interest for something. We've got a lot. Our district's very diverse on the agriculture side. I'm on a lot of farms multiple times every month. This year, I've not been able to visit a school every week, as I've done until now, because no visitors are allowed in the classrooms and haven't been since last March. But I think that it's important when you have particularly a district like ours that's so diverse in every which way, from small businesses to large giants like a Pfizer and a Stryker, ag interests, urban, rural, that you've got to be open to everyone's thoughts in terms of what you're going to do. And for me, I'm not a rubber stamp for anybody. I'm gonna listen the best I can to everybody and make a decision as to what's best for the district, the state, and the country. And I can cite a number of those bipartisan examples of working with Republicans and Democrats to get things done.
Do you or don't you believe that humans are significantly contributing to climate change? And tell us why.
Climate change is real, and humans are participating in it. That is for sure. Some good things. We've actually reduced our emissions over the last couple decades by 50%. That's great. I opposed actually the removal of the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accords. We're the only nation on Earth that's not a participant in that. At the time, there were two. Now we're the only ones. But climate change is real. I've supported major efforts, particularly on renewable energy. And Michigan, of course, has had a policy for some time now. We're going to be increasing the percentage of renewable energy that is produced as part of our overall national state policy. And we're well on our way to exceeding that goal. I've supported energy initiatives to make more energy efficient automobiles, appliances, homes, a good number of things. We can do more, but we also, the Green New Deal, which says, fossil fuels are going to be gone in 10 years. I mean, let's face it, that's not going to happen. But through technology, ultimately, we can be on that pathway that continues to reduce emissions and yet still produces a strong economy here across the U.S.
West and Southwest Michigan, both known for their natural resources. Are there additional protections you believe are necessary for protecting our waters, our forests, and our farmlands?
Well, some good news. You might remember the first couple of years of the Trump budget, he actually eliminated the Great Lakes Initiative, more than $300 million a year to protect the water quality in the Great Lakes. Really, almost without exception, there was one. Our delegation stepped up to the plate. We worked with the other Great Lakes delegation. I'm a member of the Great Lakes Caucus, and we were able to reverse the president's decision to eliminate the funding. And now we've actually seen an increase in Great Lakes money, and we'll see it again in this next fiscal year. So some of the things that it does is it takes on the Asian carp. We're not too far away from that invasive species getting into the Great Lakes and doing just unbelievable harm, billions of dollars a year in terms of what it will cost us. I was one of the leaders that went down to look at the Brandon locks, the lock down in Illinois. Both our senators, many of our congressional delegation, Republicans and Democrats, went down. And some good news, we're anticipating now, the Corps of Engineers was with us, but we're hoping to fund the project that will actually crimp and prevent that Asian carp from getting into the Great Lakes. I'd like to think that that's going to happen before the end of the year. So whether it's clean air, clean water, a good number of different things, we need to work together. And in fact, we showed that we can when we work in a bipartisan way.
What dire circumstance or government necessity would you be willing to support a tax increase?
Well, I'm not for raising taxes. You know, we're going through some really tough times. I supported the tax cut bill that passed a couple of years ago. You know, we had the highest taxes in the world. We had the highest corporate taxes in the world. Perigo, major employer, of course, in Allegan County, because of that tax rate, they actually moved their headquarters to Ireland. Since we passed the tax cuts, and of course, you know, this pandemic has, you know, undermined a lot of economic growth, that's for sure. But we had the best economic growth in the world, in large part because we cut taxes on everybody. And we also eliminated some of those loopholes that were out there that otherwise prevented or otherwise allowed folks to avoid paying taxes. So by having a lower rate, we actually did some really good things. Now, you know, we've gone through some pretty tough times. You know, even today, our unemployment rate is basically about triple what it was earlier this year because of the pandemic. Coming back to raise taxes on individuals or businesses at this time, I think would be an unwise decision.
There are economists' concerns about growing wealth disparity as a threat to the country's future economic growth and prosperity. Do you concur, disagree? Tell us where you stand on this.
You know, the Wall Street Journal had a really good piece about a month ago, and they talked about through 2019, before the pandemic started, there was higher real growth in wages and family income in the lower fifth and the bottom fifths, whether it be African Americans, whether it be Hispanics, whether it be women, because of in large part because of the tax cuts that President signed into law a couple years ago. We want to restore our way of life. We need to get through this pandemic. We need to get people employed again, people feeling safe, going into a store and purchasing products. And once that happens, I'm convinced that our economic growth will again surpass the rest of the world and help the bottom of the economic strata even more than at the top.
The next question, you touched on it earlier, but we'll go ahead. Do you believe the nation should invest in alternative energy or rely on fossil fuels, securing energy independence?
You know, I've always believed in all of the above strategy. You know, we can have more efficient automobiles, and we're getting there. I'm a member of the Auto Caucus and was once co-chair of that with Gary Peters when he was in the House. We're making great strides in more efficient automobiles, not only emissions, but also miles per gallon. And we'll continue to see that happen. But we also know that, particularly as you look at the electric cars and trucks, we have a major facility over in Galesburg, Michigan, Eaton. They're looking at electric trucks, and again, emissions are less. But we need, of course, where is that power generated? I'm a supporter of nuclear power. No emissions, no carbon emissions, of course, from either one of our two facilities that are in our district. But we're also making great strides, not only here in Michigan, but around the country in terms of more renewable fuels, which then lessens our reliance. I mean, ultimately, coal is going to be gone, and all of our utilities are beginning to phase the number of plants out. So renewables is a big key, but also natural gas. I helped with a new natural gas plant in Niles, and it'll be online perhaps as early as late next year. It'll be the most efficient gas turbine electric plant within hundreds of miles because of added efficiencies that they have that others don't. And of course, it'll replace older, aging, whether it be coal facilities or others, again, bringing a cleaner environment to the Midwest.
Final question. Is there a moral or personal issue you support that is in opposition to your party's ideology? What is it, and why do you strongly adhere to your belief?
Well, I'm pro-life, so my party subscribes to that. I've not been afraid to speak out against discrimination, and so I guess I've criticized the president for some of his remarks, but whether it be that or against other groups, Asians, others, I've not been afraid to do that. I don't think that that's necessarily in our party platform, either side, but no, I have a compass, and people know that I'm going to do what's right. My door is going to be open, and if they can convince me that their side is right, they're going to have my support every time.
Republican incumbent U.S. Representative Fred Upton from St. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us.
God bless you. Thank you.